Rise everyone. I hope you're enjoying the market. I'm just gonna start a live interview with Jules from Cave and Kiln. Cave and Kiln is based in Folkestone. Let me just add her in. So please do all have a look at what everyone's got on to offer, particularly Cave and Kiln. And here she is, Jules. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just it's always a bit of like a mad rush at the beginning.
Yeah, I was surprised. It felt very much like a real market. I was sort of buzzing.
The doors open and it's just like this flood of people that kind of, there's that excitement as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
I want to, first of all, if you could just kind of introduce yourself and your business, Cave and Kiln.
Yeah, sure. So it's a business that I created with my husband. Cave and Kiln is half cheese and half ceramic. So we were working on the harbour arm, serving up artisan cheese boards with everything put in my ceramics. So all the chutneys were in my ceramics. So it's basically, it was to give people the experience of what it's like to sort of dine al fresco with beautiful homemade items.
Amazing. And how, do you still have that business on the harbour arm?
No, we've stopped on the harbour arm for now. I've just become a mother 18 months ago. So we took a little break from the food side of things. And obviously with coronavirus, we haven't been doing any food sales. But really, what we see is that the ceramics will take the star of the show going forwards. We've got a studio, so we're going to be doing workshops and things like that in the future.
And how did you get into ceramics in the first place?
So I've always been aesthetically driven. I started collecting ceramics or buying ceramics. And basically I just started looking at it and thinking, that looks like a really good thing to make. It looks really fun. So I joined a studio with a guy called Chris Bramble, who works at University of Westminster. And I joined his private studio and he sort of showed me the ropes of ceramics, and I haven't looked back. It started off with growing.
It wasn't kind of like at university or school or anything?
No, I studied fine art at university, so I've got an art background, but the place that I studied, Byamshore School of Art, it's part of Central St Martin's, it isn't as much craft-based as conceptual. So it's taken me a little while to get back into my sort of making craft roots, because I felt very much like everything had to have a conceptual background rather than just like tactility and giving enjoyment to people.
And I'm just a bit flustered this morning. How you got into, and so your process is quite kind of organic, or how do you go about kind of starting?
I have a few different I have a few different ways that I work. I really like collaborating with people and doing things within the community. So I've had quite a few projects on where someone will say, you know, this is our business, this is what we want, and then I'll create like a pottery range for them, which sort of, you know, gets my design side of my brain going a bit more than maybe the sort of pure artistic side. And then I have other days where I'll be in the studio and plugged into an audiobook or something and just kind of let things happen. So at the moment I have quite a nice balance between those two. I get jobs on and I can do the design side, which I really enjoy, or I'm kind of just organically letting things happen and seeing where things go.
And were those jobs that you got kind of just word of mouth and you knowing other people in the community or other businesses that would maybe need or want to have your bits, or?
Yeah, it's almost all word of mouth. We moved down from London about 3 years ago, and I've kind of jumped into Folkestone community with both feet. I think both of us were really missing like a sense of community in London. We went to live in Sydney for a year and we really felt it there. And then when we came back to London, it was like, we were both done with it. So yes, when we moved here, I mean, one of my stories was prior to moving to Folkestone, I looked at Dr. Legumes and I watched their promotional video and I was just so excited by them. So when we got here, we went to one of their events and then I've ended up working for them and doing a ceramics range for their business. So it's quite a nice sort of excited about before I came to Folkestone, and then just through sort of word of mouth, I ended up, creating the pottery for their brand.
Yeah. And you work both with hand building and on the wheel.
Yeah.
Is there one that you prefer?
Oh, I don't know. I started off with the thrower, so and I do find that I was quite naturally in line to be able to throw, and but then when I was in a studio in London called Turning Earth, I was working a daytime job and throwing in the evenings, and I got a bit exhausted, so I started hand building, and I really love the sort of the quiet, sedate way of building up clay with only using your hands. So I think I'd probably say hand building, but I find it very hard.
But it's nice to do a bit of both, no? So.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that it's those two different sides of me, the design side and the art side. I'd say that the hand building, if I've got a piece of clay and I can just spend the day listening to an audiobook or a podcast or just have silence and work with that clay, that's just a lovely drifting way to spend an afternoon. But then if I've got like a project on where I've got to throw this exact shape and size, like I did Orchard Lane coffee shop in Sandgate, I did their cups, and it had to be like down to the ounce because they wanted to have, the flat white, the espresso and the latte. So again, that's sort of like a set project, and that suits throwing more for me. So yeah, I'm kind of split in the middle.
And tell us about some pieces that you've got up for sale today.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of different ranges up for sale today. I've tried to do a mixture of thrown pieces and hand-built pieces. I've got the Coastal Green range, which I always found really popular. It's quite a bright sort of turquoise and white, so it fits into a lot of people's, aesthetics. I've got a couple of jugs and some serving dishes, and then I've also got more hand-built things. I've got my Off-White range, which is a new range for me. It's serving dishes pieces made with only one piece of clay. So you really sort of dig deep, leave all the hand marks in, keep it very raw, very organic, and then it's glazed very simply. So in my mind, like an alfresco dining table dotted about with all these pieces, different coloured food in every one, just stunning. So yeah.
And is that what's in your kitchen, is all of these?
Yeah, I do. I use almost all my ceramics, and my husband does as well, which is really lovely. So if I come down and we have breakfast, we almost always have it in my pot,
and
which is why I became a potter.
Yeah, it does just make that like if there's I have a set of cutlery and plates and stuff that I really enjoy eating off. And it makes such a difference to compare to some set that you buy, because I don't know what it is. It's just that you have like an emotional connection to it.
Absolutely. So and I think with me, it's a lot about ritual as well. Like I have my morning coffee. I like to have my coffee in a specific mug. If I'm having a black coffee, I like it in one of my different beakers than if it's a white coffee. Yeah. And I think that we've kind of lost a lot in our modern day. We've lost a lot of this sort of time that we spend around rituals and quietness. And actually, it sets you up right for the day if you have like this is what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You know that you love it. And it, just sets you up.
Yeah, I have a ritual too. I have like my mug and it's got my name on it, and my friend painted it for me in ceramics, And yeah, just that's the mug. I sit there in the morning, just for like half an hour, just waking up really slowly and just enjoying a cup of tea.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say at this point, if anyone's got any questions for Jules, that you can ask them in the comments, and I will. We can chat about those. And otherwise, I'd like to ask you next, kind of where we can. Is it just on Instagram today, or can we find you anywhere else, or how do people get in contact with you?
Yeah, it's just Instagram today. I'm in the process of setting up a website, but I have always been more socially driven. Like, I do think that social media is a wonderful way to connect with people. And I do think that you get a more accurate idea of who people are from social media. I definitely shop from Instagram. I also do like traveling information from Instagram. Yeah, if I'm going somewhere, then I find like the coffee shops on Instagram.
Yeah, you look on the location.
Yeah, and you get in from all the comments and how they respond to people, and the live and stories. You get a real idea of who someone is. Whereas I think a website can be misleading. You can end up getting someone else do your website and look really in one way, whereas social seems to be more personal. So I am more pro-social, but we're in the process of setting up a website, and eventually, I've got the keys to my new studio, so setting up there. I've got a bit of work ahead of me. I've got to, clear out the space and get things set up. But eventually, I see that as a social space as well, where people can pop in and work with a bit of clay, say hi, buy things. That sort of thing.
That sounds amazing. And where's the?
It will be on. It's on Tontine Street.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Raina has just asked, is there any piece of work that you can't depart with?
This sounds really pathetic, but I can't part with a lot of them. I've got whole collections of ones that I don't want to let go of. And I do actually have to give it a bit of time before. So sometimes I make something or I throw something, and I have to give it sort of, at least 3 weeks before I can sort of go, okay, this is ready to go now. I don't know what that says about me. I'm probably a hoarder, but yeah, and definitely the more work that goes into something, or if you throw it and it's like, it's perfect. Sometimes you throw things, they've got a little niggle, a little wobble, but sometimes things just work perfectly. And they're usually the simplest pieces that you end up falling in love with.
Yeah, I think also just through kind of my friends now, spending more time with them, doing ceramics and stuff like that. Gemma's just said she's the same as you.
Good, we're all the same.
But you put so much into it, and it is one of those things, because ceramics can be so hit and miss, like the firing, the glazing. There's so many opportunities for it to go wrong, that when something perfect or near enough perfect comes out, that you do want to spend a little bit of time with it before you give it away.
But in answer to Raina's question as well, I do actually have a cup, really simple blue and white cup. I think it was one of the first things I threw, and it has come to Sydney with me and come back, and it's like I use it for coffee almost every day. So that is one that I will never part with, but mostly I kind of go through a process of sort of saying goodbye to things. And it helps if you selling in person or selling on Instagram helps, because you feel like you get an idea of who's buying it as well, so you can kind of pick
I really like that, because I sell kind of as well on Instagram, and it's just you build up a relationship with the people that buy it, and you can kind of like follow them as well, and see kind of what they're up to, and how they're using it exactly. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention so that the audience should know about you?
I don't know if there's anything specific. Just get involved. Always ask questions. I'm always on Instagram, and I'm very personable. So ask me anything you like.
Perfect, great. Well, thank you for joining me on this interview.
No problem.
And I hope you have a successful day.
Yes, I'm going to get back to it. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to speak to you too, Jules. Bye.
Bye. Bye.